Hello, my name is Kelly Qualieri. I'm currently a STAR teacher at an elementary school, K through 5. What my role is I am in charge of our dyslexia program, our ESL program, and then intervention specialist for reading and math grades K through 5. This is my 10th year in the classroom. I'm getting my principal certification, and so for this project, the participating video option, I chose option number 3, which is to interview the following school leadership personnel regarding the use of technology to manage their department. The reason I chose this project is because with my experience in the classroom, I feel that I'm really getting a grasp of the instructional component in schools and how that runs and teacher management and things like that. But what I realize is that there's so many more aspects to go into running an effective school, and so really trying to deepen my knowledge with that and how these other departments that I don't have a lot of experience with, how they run. So for this project, I'll be meeting with Andrea Vogel, who is our receptionist, and she's also in charge of running the maintenance department and transportation for our campus. I'll be meeting with Brenda Pratt, who is our cafeteria manager. I'll be meeting with Dee Dee Martinez, who is our office manager, to discuss PEEMS. And then Courtney Sneederjohn, who is our counselor, to talk with her about human resources, and Lori Walsh, who is our nurse on campus. For this project, I'll be asking them about the different technology tools that they use in their department. I'll be asking them how technology enhances the management of their department, what areas of improvement are needed, as well as the strengths of the technological tools that they use. I'd also kind of like to dig deeper with them to see really the principal's role with those tools also, to kind of see, how much does she have a grasp in those or not, but really understanding how without each of these components the school wouldn't be as successful and as smooth functioning as it is. And so I'm really interested to see all of those things that I don't have a lot of experience in. So I hope you enjoy the interviews, and I hope that you get to learn as much as I do. Thank you. All right, I'm here with our nurse, Lori Walsh, and I'm going to ask her a couple questions about technology and how it manages her department. So first, Lori, what program do you use as a nurse?
We use eSchool Plus.
Okay.
And that is a district-wide program where every morning when we come in, once we get into eSchool, we have a daily log that we get into. That daily log, we have a time in, a time out when our students come in, the student's name, why they came in, and what we did. So it accumulates, it takes the place of handwriting notes.
Okay.
We write it in our system. In there, there's also, like under why they came in, we have some little abbreviations.
Okay.
So it's not like we have to handwrite everything. We have little squares, and each square, you click on there, and then you can add more to it in the comments. So it's very useful.
Okay. And then how does that help you manage your department?
It's more time-consuming. Not time-consuming. It helps save time.
Okay.
Because I could have, for example, 4 or 5 students come in at the same time. This program allows me to click, 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 click 4 times when they came in. I can go back and finish my notes once I've seen the child or the student, and they go back to class.
Okay.
So it's very, time efficient.
And then so would that kind of be some of the strengths? What do you like the most about the program?
What I like the most about it is where it, stores data, stores the information, which continues and follows the student from the time they enroll in our district at our school, no matter if they change schools, if they transfer to another school in an elementary, or when they go on to middle school and high school, those notes follow throughout their entire time they are with us.
Oh, wow.
So a good strength in that, or a good thing in that is, for example, a couple of years ago, I had an elementary student where we do vision and hearing screenings. And on that student, in kindergarten, the results I had gotten, the student had failed the hearing test, and in 2 weeks when we have to review, the student failed again, so I sent the referral letter home. The parents took the student to the doctor. At the time, the doctor said it was fine, the student had no problems. So in grade 1, we rechecked him again, and the student failed again. So I thought to myself, I wonder what results I had gotten last year. Very quickly, I clicked on that student's name, got into the results that I got for that hearing screening. They were identical to what I had gotten the year before. So it gives you a good, comparison that you can go back to. That particular student, when I wrote up a referral again and advised the parents to take the student, the student ended up with hearing aids.
Wow.
So just from going back and reviewing, wondering, what did I get last year when I did the screening results? So it was very good in that it compiles information. You can go back very quickly and look up office visits from, previous year even.
Wow. Well, what a credit to you, though, for recognizing that. Some people wouldn't have just paid any attention to that.
Thank you.
Are there any improvements that you see are needed in the program?
Right now, it seems to be running fairly smoothly. I mean, I think they've really made a lot of improvements in it. One improvement they made this past year, actually, was for the beginning of the school year, all of our students enroll online, and there is one simple little program you can get into, and it compiles all of the medical information that the parents have entered in that student. Okay. So we go in, we plug in certain criteria, and it pulls up a report on it. So, I mean, they're improving on it every year. But for me, I love the system,
And do they ask you for your feedback each year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Okay, and so then they make improvements based on that?
Yes, from all of our nurses' input. They go in over the summer, and then they review what we see can be improved, and they, as best they can, they come up with the improvements each year. So, I mean, for me right now, I love the system.
Right. Oh, and then when we had spoken earlier, you were talking about something about the mobility of it, like when we're at the OLC or something? Yes,
that's correct. When our students go on field trips, particularly the Outdoor Learning Center, which is a district-owned center where our 4th and 5th graders, and I'm sure the older grades as well, but for us in elementary, 4th and 5th graders go out to the Outdoor Learning Center. They go for the entire day, for several days throughout the year. We have a nurse that goes out to the Outdoor Learning Center. That nurse is able to input information for our students, and very quickly it comes back to me. I can look it up, what she's done at the Outdoor Learning Center, and she can email me, phone me, and let me know, you need to follow up with this student when they come back. She doesn't have to go into detail because everything is in our system.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good communicator even when our students are not on campus.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm here with Mrs. Vogel. She's our receptionist, and she's also in charge of the technology and maintenance management of our campus. And so I'm going to ask her a couple questions about transportation first. What technology do you use in your managing transportation?
We use email. This way we can communicate with parents, teachers, and the bus service company all at once. We require all parents to email us each day before 2 p.m. if there's going to be a change of transportation for their child. This way we can verify it comes from them, and instead of them calling us, it's a little bit harder to verify that it's them.
Okay.
And that way it's time and date stamped also when we received it. Once we receive that email, I forward it to the teacher, and that teacher has to respond back that they received it. So that way everything's crossed, that we make sure that child gets to where they need to go.
Okay. And then how does that kind of help you manage your department?
Even though I write everything down and stuff like that, there's a lot of times that we do have to go back to those emails and double check, did we receive a transportation change? A student may come up and say, my mom told me I'm supposed to be a car rider today. But if we didn't get that email from that parent for a change, then we cannot send them as a car rider. We have to send them the way that they're supposed to go.
Okay, and is there any other way that you communicate with the bus system, or is it just through email or phone?
We make sure that we do it through email just so that we have it in writing. If there's a bus change, we want to let them know that their bus drivers, need to let someone off at a different stop, or that they're bringing home a friend or something like that, and they always respond back that they also got it.
Okay. We had talked earlier before we met about there's some new app or something that the bus program's
Yes,
using.
they have unveiled an app. It's the first district in the state that's going to be trying it. And parents can log in and check their student's bus, not any bus in the district, but just
Okay.
their student's bus, to see where it's at all times.
Oh, wow.
There's also a link on the district website that a parent, say they're new to the district or changing addresses or something like that, that they can log in and input their address into it, and it will tell them exactly what bus number they would ride, the location of the bus stop, and the time that it drops off and picks up in the
Oh,
morning.
wow. Okay.
And that's available to any of our parents or anybody moving into the district.
Okay. Have you gotten any feedback about that?
It does help parents, just speed it up if they don't want to call and ask
Right.
and stuff like that. They can do it themselves. I use it also. It is a little bit quicker than trying to look up their address on a big map
Right.
to
Oh,
try to
that's
figure
true.
out where they live and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's good. And you've kind of already talked about the strengths of the program. Are there any weaknesses that you see?
I guess it would just be making sure the teachers, they're busy throughout the day, so it is hard for them to, constantly check their email, but just reminding them to do that, and then reminding parents to make sure that they, use that email address.
Okay. All right. And so we'll move on to maintenance. Now, is maintenance the same way? Do you communicate mainly through email?
We ask all teachers to email me if there's any sort of maintenance or pest control or something like that. And then there's an app or a website that our district uses.
Oh, okay.
And we put those in, and just, getting very specific about the room number and the location of the item that's broke or what needs fixed and that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
And then so when the teacher reports it, then you put it into the system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what are some of the strengths of that?
It speeds up the process instead of doing a handwritten maintenance order and sending that up to admin. I mean, that would take, a few days.
Right.
This is instant, and we can get somebody out here if it's an emergency right away.
Okay.
But I would say they don't respond back to us right away if it's
Okay.
been fixed.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
The
weakness.
Okay.
I wish we were notified quicker, because they come at nighttime when we're not here and
Oh,
fix
okay.
something. Then they close the ticket, but we're never notified that the ticket was closed.
Oh, okay. So you don't get
No, we have to keep going back and checking to see if something got fixed.
okay. And I know with the technology department, they have to send you something, so you would think that would
Correct.
be the
Correct.
same.
And even if it was just an instant reply, like an
Right.
automated thing, this
That's
ticket was
how it
closed.
is. Yeah, that's how it is with
Yeah.
technology.
That would be just fine, but it's not. And
Okay. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hello, I'm here with Mrs. Martinez. She's our office manager, and she's in charge of the PEAM system for our school. And so I'm going to ask her a couple of questions. The first question I have for you is, how does technology enhance the management of your department?
Well, this database enables me to have important information at my fingertips. For example, I can quickly access student demographics, staff information, grades, and budget information, just to name a few.
Okay. And what are some of the areas of improvement that you think are needed with that system?
I don't think none. It's pretty efficient.
Okay. And then what are some of the strengths? What do you like about the program?
I really like the gradebook generator. It's quick and it's easy for our staff and I to use. Our principal also uses this system to approve purchase orders. She also uses this when working on discipline issues for any of our students.
And so you think that the grade book's probably the most effective part. What other things are in PEAMS?
We also have eSchool, which is it helps us when we're doing online enrollment in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
We use PEAMS.
Good morning, Cox Elementary.
We use
Our
PEAMS
students
to
today
check
represent Miss Garish's class, and will be
student
sharing our
enrollment.
announcements with us.
We also use it for finance, for any of our finance, for budgeting.
Okay.
This is the hamburger and cheeseburger, all American sauce.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're
All right.
welcome.
I'm with Mrs. Sneederjohn. She's our counselor, and she's also in charge of running, helping the principal with the human resources department and as far as our hiring and stuff. So, Mrs. Sneederjohn, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about technology. What program do you use for your department?
Right now we use AppleTrack. That's our software that we use to screen applicants.
Okay. And how does that technology enhance the management of your department?
Well, it allows us to be able to view each person that is applying for the position. It categorizes it by grade and by not necessarily subject. I guess it does for older grades, but for our school it's just K through 3 for one position, 4 through 5, or if it's a special position like music, art, PE, special ed, things like that.
So it won't let it be like if it's a 4th grade math position, it just states.
Right, 4 through 5 elementary teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So technically, the people that come in for interviews, they really don't even know what position that they're applying for. They just know it's a general ed elementary position.
Okay.
Unless we tell them when we call.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense because that one lady asked,
Yep.
"What am I interviewing for?"
Yep.
And then what components are in that program?
Well, there is,
What all can they put on there?
they can put on their cover letter, they can put a resume, they fill out the entire application, which when you print it can be anywhere from 10 to 15 pages, just depending on how much information they put on. Did I say resume?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Reference letters, copies of certification. I think that's about it as to what they can attach to their application.
And then every candidate, internal and external, has to use that program, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the improvements that you think are needed in that program?
I would say that there's a component that is a really good component that you can leave notes whenever you view an applicant. So any principal or any person that is viewing an applicant can leave notes stating whether or not they've interviewed them or not and how the interview went. I mean, they can't give too many details, but they can say if they would have recommended them for hire,
Okay.
and things like that. But the bad thing is a lot of people don't do that. So weakness-wise, it would be nice if everybody did that, and
Right.
that way we're not. I mean, we have anywhere from 400 to 800 people that apply for one position. And for the person like me who is screening all of them with an AppleTrack, it makes it easier if there are comments as to whether I should skip that person and review it or not.
Right.
So,
Okay. What are some of the strengths of the tool?
I would say everything that they're able to put on there is really helpful because it gives us a well-rounded observation of who that person is as an educator. We can, view literally everything that they put on there, and it also kind of gives us an idea as to whether or not, if somebody says, "Can we contact your employer?" and they say no, we kind of sit there and go, "Well, why? Why can't we contact your employer?" So it's really helpful that they have to put all of those things on there.
When we were speaking earlier, we were talking about there's a video feature.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
There is a video feature. Yeah. It's a lot like Rivs, which is a system that we use. We used it last year when we were using a different program called SearchSoft. But basically, from what I gather, I haven't put it into place yet. I haven't tried it yet. But from what I'm gathering, it's a lot like Rivs as to where you upload questions, and it's attached to the application.
Okay.
And before the person can submit the application, they have to complete this online interview. And so it records them and asks them certain questions. They can't redo it.
Okay, so it's the first time?
Yeah. And so they, it can be questions that we would normally ask in an interview, and that can determine if we really even want to interview them in person or not. So it's
So
pretty
does each
helpful.
campus get to pick the questions, or is it already
From what
pre-selected?
I gather, we do.
Okay.
But again, I haven't looked at it too much in depth yet. We've really haven't had to do that just because Dr. McCune and our CIT went to a job fair. So
Okay.
they've already they've already seen all these people for the most part.
Right. And so this is the first year we've used this program. Okay.
Yes.
And do you like it better than the previous one?
Yes. This is, AppleTrack is uploaded by Region 11. They're the
Oh,
ones
okay.
that say this is what we're using.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
even Region 11, the service center uses AppleTrack.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. Hello. Right now for my reflection, I'll be working through the Gibbs reflective cycle to kind of talk you through the process of what I spent my day doing and who I was interviewing and what we were doing. For what happened, I was doing my observing video participating option number 3. And I met with key personnel for different departments of the campus to kind of talk to them about what technological tools they use to manage their department, the strengths of those programs, and then also some areas of improvement that they would suggest. And really, they're the people that use those programs every day, so that's really where the best information you're going to get is what they think some of the improvements are. Going into this project, I was really excited because I'm so aware of that there's so many different aspects of the campus that as a teacher you're not really familiar with because it just works so well. And so really getting an opportunity to sit down with these people and see what they do, how they do their job, and what tools help them do that, and really how all of that ties into running an effective school. And so I was excited about that. A little background is I had completed this project a couple days ago, and my iPad actually got wiped out. So these people have already been interviewed once, and so they were kind enough to allow me to do it again. So the one benefit of that is that there were some questions I wish I would have asked the first time, and so I was able to do that in the second interview with some follow-up information. So feeling the second time I was a little embarrassed that I had to have them do it again, but I just appreciate that I work at a campus with such wonderful people that are dedicated to everybody's growth, and so them understanding that I was doing this first school project and being willing to help me again says a lot about the campus that I'm at, so I appreciate that. What was interesting is going into that, you kind of have the teacher perspective, like as far as transportation. Okay, I know the guidelines, we email, we get an email about transportation changes and so forth. And so, in PEEMS, okay, well, I can get certain information from that. But being able to really sit down and see how in-depth some of these tools go, not just for teacher use, but for managerial causes also. And so that was really interesting to learn about that. What was good about the experience was being able to ask those questions and get some feedback as to what they do with those programs. A downfall, I think, and this was probably on my side with the project, was I had contacted these people ahead of time because I know that I would be videotaping it. And so some people get a little uncomfortable when you know that there's a camera involved, but I tried to tell them that, it was just on me. But I did email them the questions ahead of time that they would be answering. So some of the responses I felt were kind of scripted. So I don't know, and especially because it was on video, I don't know that some of them really felt comfortable telling me about some of the things that they are areas of improvement. That was one kind of hesitation I noticed from the people that I interviewed. But also because I sent them the questions ahead of time, I felt some apprehension on my part of digging deeper and asking them more questions, just because I didn't want to put them on the spot completely because I knew some of them were uncomfortable. And just nervous, which is natural. We were able to have a lot of conversations off camera that really dug a little bit deeper into the information, so that was valuable for my own learning. What made sense of the situation, I really liked the conversation that I had with our office manager as far as PEEMS. We really had some conversations about how she uses PEEMS, that she uses it for the grade book and such, but then also I was able to ask her, how does the principal use it? With thinking in the future, okay, what would my role in that program be? And she really just kind of said that the principal really uses it, to approve purchase orders and things like that with the budget, but also discipline issues. And so it was neat to see, kind of what the principal would have their hand in and what they don't necessarily. Another thing that I really thought was valuable was talking with Nurse Lori about the system that she uses to track that data of the students that come into the nurse. And food allergies and such, and how that's actually linked to the program that the cafeteria manager uses. And so when she was talking to me about that, of seeing just how really everything is tied together, and just there's so many forms of checks and balances in these programs. So for example, a student comes into the nurse, it's known that they have a specific allergy. That same student goes to lunch later in that day and makes a purchase. There's a flag that pops up on their account that says that they have a specific food allergy. And so the lunch manager knows, to not allow them to buy a certain product. So I thought that was really interesting, just the way each department looks out for each other, and really all of it is based around the good for the student. Another thing that I thought was interesting was, I know for one of the improvements that was desired from the maintenance department was about once an order's been fulfilled, there's no form of feedback. They don't get something that says, hey, this project has been completed. But yet in our technology department, if we have an issue with a computer or something and we put in a ticket to be serviced, we automatically get a message once that's been completed. So it's interesting how some of the departments don't really run the same way, and just what an easy fix that would seem to be. I liked meeting with Mrs. Sneederjohn about the AppleTrack program, since it is a new program that the district adopted this year, and actually the whole region adopted, and really talking to her about all that really goes into it, and just that there's even still some components that they're looking into that they haven't used yet. So I'm excited to kind of be a part of that. I was on that training. My principal was nice enough to let me sit on because she knew I was doing the program, and kind of seeing, going through what they go through. And so I thought that was very, I've been fortunate enough to sit in on that process. My conclusion for all of this is just, I feel like a sponge, just getting as much information as I can, and to see the different roles that everyone plays, and how, we are all really here for the good of the student and who we service, which is students and families. And so all these programs are put into place, and they're continually being improved upon based on the needs of the students and of the staff and as the school as a whole. My action plan for this, my next step for this, is to sit down with my principal, Dr. McCune, and, share my findings with her, and some of the conversations that came up. And I'm curious to see her take on the responses. If there is something, that what role she plays with this. Does she meet with each department separately? Do they have monthly meetings, weekly meetings, or is it just as an as-needed basis? How does she manage that process of making sure that each department is doing what they need to do, and that they have what they need to do that? And so my question is really, what role does the principal play in that? And so that's something that I look forward to kind of digging deeper in with her. Altogether, this has been a really insightful project, getting to know each of the different systems and how they work, and also how they communicate with each other outside of just the sole purpose of instruction. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. Thank you.